with this line of work, a lot of it is based on intuition. You would never know if something is really going to hit the mark, but you have a feeling. And it's very difficult to walk into a boardroom and you get asked,
I have a feeling.
Yeah, what makes you so sure that this is going to work? And I have to say, I have a feeling. No, nobody is going to listen to that.
Yeah.
So it's balancing the two, because also remember, you're presenting to accountants and CFOs. They don't care about your intuition. They just want to know, does this make sense?
Yes.
What do you know how do you know for sure that this is going to work? So it's really balancing that, being able to say, you know what, I know this is going to work, so I need to find the right words to convince them and speak their language so that they understand.
We often celebrate the faces we see on screen, the talent, the moments, the stories that capture our attention. But behind every show, behind every format is someone making the decisions. Someone shaping what gets seen, what gets built, and ultimately what influences culture. It's about vision, timing, resilience, and the ability to evolve as the industry evolves. Today's conversation is about what it really takes to build that kind of career, and what it means to step into rooms where decisions are made. I'm joined today by Mbali Ntuli, Head of Unscripted Content for middle and mass markets across general entertainment channels, leading reality and entertainment content at Mzansi Magic. Mbali, welcome to the Emerge era.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so looking forward to the conversation. You've done incredible work in your industry for so many years. And I think let's just jump right into that. I want to speak about your career and what that has meant for you. Maybe just take us through your different phases of the career, where it all started and how you got to where you're positioned today.
Well, it did start from, it was a dream. I know everybody says it, but it really was a dream from when I was very young. I was just very interested in stories. I loved listening to people speak. I loved observing how people do things. I always just found the psychology of people very interesting. So naturally, I then went to study film and television at AFDA. This was many years ago. And then after my graduation, I then went into productions. I was hired by a production company. And we were actually the first people to do a personality-driven reality show for the multi-choice channels for the company that I was working for. So that was very exciting to be at the forefront of that, but from the other side.
Yes.
And then just fast forward a few years later, I then joined the company, and I've been there ever since.
Amazing. And your role right now, what does that entail?
So right now, I head up the division that handles all the reality shows and all the entertainment shows. I started as a commissioning editor in that very same space. So I grew almost still in that genre. I just grew. I did content coordination. And then I just grew until I was heading up the department.
That's incredible. And what do you believe, like different stages or levels required of you? So obviously you started as, in production, and then, you've morphed into this incredible executive role. What was required from you? What do you believe it took for you to get there?
That's an interesting one. I think it just took being interested. I had to always be interested in what is happening, never letting the trends almost fall behind you, always knowing what is the new thing, what are people watching, what are people interested in, and also anticipating it before they know it. That's actually the key ingredients, is to know what your viewers want before they do, because we know our viewers, they actually don't know what they want. But it's so important to anticipate and give them something that you think they will enjoy. So yeah, I think that's what it takes, is really being interested in
that's very good.
In the genre itself, in the world, in the cultures, in the many different cultures. You have to be interested.
That's brilliant. I love that. So from the outside, of course, it's easy for us to look at your career and your position and be like, oh my God, that's amazing, And we don't get to see like behind the scenes and what it really took. And I know we're speaking a lot about this because I believe there's a misconception. People see you up there, or anyone for that matter, even whether it's talent in front of the camera, but there's a story that's sort of behind the scenes that sort of took you to get there. And so I want to know, how did you position yourself? Was there anything else that you believed you had to position yourself from a growth perspective in a competitive industry like this?
The industry is highly competitive. I came in there very young. So I think what's made us different is just being part of a team like it's so important to be part of a team that understands, that has the same goal and vision. Because I think a lot of broadcasters, that's almost where the mistakes happen, where you have one key decision maker, and if that person doesn't feel something, it's the end of the road for everybody. But we're such a collaborative team that we are able to have robust discussions. We're able to have really authentic discussions about what do we think is the next best thing. So for me, it was being comfortable in that space and also not thinking anybody's there to take your lights or your shine. It's really being able to know that everybody comes with something and being able to take something from everybody, and then we all have this one common goal. So for me, it's really being just knowing that you are not alone. And you are not the end all and be all of everything. You really do take the suggestions from people. You don't have to implement everything. You still have to put your thinking cap on. But it's so important to listen, because I'm not in every single place and club and space and culture. Other people come with their own cultures, with their own experiences, and then we put everything together. That's how we come up with amazing concepts as well.
Brilliant. And what do you think has been the hardest part of you building your career?
You know, with this line of work, a lot of it is based on intuition. You would never know if something is really going to hit the mark, but you have a feeling. And it's very difficult to walk into a boardroom and you get asked,
I have a feeling.
What makes you so sure that this is going to work? And I have to say, I have a feeling. No, nobody is going to listen to that. So it's balancing the two, because also remember, you're presenting to accountants and CFOs. They don't care about your intuition. They just want to know, does this make sense? What do you know how do you know for sure that this is going to work? So it's really balancing that, being able to say, you know what, I know this is going to work, so I need to find the right words to convince them and speak their language so that they understand.
I love that so much. That's so cool. Okay, so let's talk about building reality and unscripted, right? So obviously you sit in a position where you're shaping what millions of people are watching. What exactly does it take to build a successful reality show?
Oh, there are so many things.
Okay, maybe one or two key things.
So a reality show, in its simplest form, it is a replica of life, of reality of life. For example, when we came up with the idea that we're going to do family dynamics, which is what we do every Sunday at 7:00, it was, for me, it was observing how we are all so similar, yet there's differences, because your family and my family, we deal with similar situations, but we just deal with them differently. And the dynamic of your family may be a big family of sisters only, maybe, and my family may be a small family where it's just me and my brother, or a polygamous family, which we all know. So there are so many different interesting factors about just simply living and observing how other people live. So for me, it was never, and the question we got asked was, how is this going to be different? What if we can't just have a whole bunch of families? What if everything's the same? I said it would never be the same. Families are so different, but we can always learn different dynamics from the different families. So it's so important to just broaden your mind. And for me, I knew that instead of trying to find just one little gold mine, it was creating that environment where we can find a whole bunch of stuff. So when we say family dynamics, when we say dating shows, most people go through is similar stages. It's the courtship, it's the infatuation phase, it's the being in love, you get married, then there's challenges that come. It's almost linear in a way. So it's then having the characters, it's how we deal with situations. We may not deal with breakups the same way. And therefore that's where the gem comes from.
That's brilliant. And so, what do you think? Why do some shows work and others do not?
I think one of the reasons it is lack of research. Sometimes I do admit we don't do enough research. And sometimes we think just because I enjoy something, the audience is going to enjoy it. That's not the case. And sometimes viewers are just maybe not interested. And what we've also discovered is that it can be too close to home. When something is too close to home, our viewers switch off. They don't. They want to watch something from a voyeurism. So I want to watch because, at least my life is not that
I've got
bad.
it together.
Like, they are going through the most. So I'm entertained by that. When it comes too close to my reality, we've discovered that a lot of people really do churn out.
That's very interesting. Okay, so let's touch a little bit about just, the industry and where we are today. Obviously, it's changing so quickly. Things are changing at a rapid pace. What do you think, or where do you think is sort of the next direction of content? Where is that going?
I think, before we used to be so obsessed with celebrity culture because it was so far removed from us. We can't ignore the fact that it's accessible now. I can see exactly what Beyonce does. She can wake up and just do a vlog or do whatever. So now we have to pivot beyond showing viewers what they've already seen. It is a very big transitional time that we're in. And so it's important for us to also realize that things are not the same as it was before. There's really nothing. And is there such a thing as a celebrity also these days? Because now
everyone's a
celebrity. There's TikTok. All I have to do is do one song and then I'm famous forever. So it's really not that coveted thing that we used to look at. I remember when we did Idols, towards the last seasons of Idols, we started realizing that nobody cares about winning a record deal anymore. It's really, we used to think a record deal is the biggest thing ever that you can get. People just want money and they move on, and because they know they can record, their songs can be, they don't need to be part of a record label. So it was in that time that we realized that there is an evolution that's happening and we need to be aware of those things. We may not have all the answers now on how we pivot beyond that, but it's important to be aware and not do the same thing over and over. It would be so silly for any broadcaster to come up with a show like that and say, oh, you get to win a record label. People will be like, nobody cares about that. So
Okay, that's brilliant. And what do you think that means for like content creators and producers and just the industry at large? Like, what does it mean from their perspective? Because obviously they're creating the content. And with all this change happening, are there opportunities for them? Do you foresee like things that they can jump on, opportunities that they can jump on? Or do you feel like it's going in a whole different direction?
No, I think there are still opportunities because lately I'm a big fan of podcasts as well. Even yours. Yes. I think this is absolutely brilliant. Amazing. But remember before, I would have to be on some big show in a big studio. Is it Oprah or Nolene? It would have to be one of those. But I love that conversations can be had on a daily basis and it doesn't have to be on such a large scale as well. So the accessibility for me is absolutely incredible. Brilliant. I think it lets people explore what they are good at. It does also, there's another side to it where if something is accessible to everyone, I can just now start singing and people will be like, what are you doing? But I will think, oh, well, I can do it.
Amazing,
So it's still very important for people to really have that discernment on what is your path, if you're authentic with yourself, we can pick it up. It's very easy to pick up for television.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and so I think just in terms of, power, position, you're obviously operating at a high level where you're carrying lots of decisions. How do you carry your responsibility and what does leadership mean for you?
Leadership for me, it's really also being aware that you are not alone. You don't do it alone. You need to surround yourself with a very strong team. You're still the decision maker, but you need to know that the decisions you make have such a huge impact.
Sure.
Because if I decide that, nope, we are not doing these genres, and I give whatever reason, and then that is half of the industry being cut off. And I need to realize that the responsibility I carry is so big and I need to be respectful of that. Sure. So it is very important. I mentioned earlier that we have to listen to what is happening, what are the trends. We need to listen to everybody that has something to bring on the table. It's no longer where the big boss is the only person, that's the only voice that makes decisions. So it's so important to have heard everything, then make an informed decision because you really do have a lot of people's lives and livelihoods in your hands.
Sure, that's brilliant. I love that. And then is there something specifically that you're working on personally or in your career or family, whatever it may be, that you feel like this is something that I'm learning or I'm growing in this area, I'm developing and I'm sort of working on this thing?
Yes. So one of the things I strongly believe in is that you cannot be one-dimensional person. It's so important to broaden into many different facets of your life. I think the way God created us is to be people of abundance, to be people that are full. So for me, as amazing as my career is, I absolutely love it. But I run a little business on the side. I'm fully devoted in my religion. Amazing. I serve in my church. I do so many other things that fulfill my spirit so that I'm just being well balanced is the most important thing so that you are never really operating from a place of desperation in any area of your life, because you know that your life is fully balanced. So for me, even with my team, I encourage them. I ask them, what do you do on weekends? What do you do? People have their own. One is a makeup artist. Another one also has a podcast.
Amazing.
Somebody's now gotten into paddling, and it's the most amazing thing. So I love hearing that people have satisfaction in their lives. Others are moms and dads. They're starting families. They're starting to get married. So it's such a beautiful thing. And once you show up as a whole human being, it's so easy. Then work becomes the easiest thing ever.
I love that. That's brilliant. I've seen that as well. I feel like also like when you're grounded in your faith, and you work from that place, you serve from that place, you live, you make decisions out of that place. It's just like life sort of makes sense and everything kind of works together. So that's brilliant. Please share with us a little bit more about the business that you do on the side. I know you're also author. So maybe share about your book as well.
Oh my goodness. That one was, I wrote that book, I think in less than 2 months. I wrote that book. It was during COVID. I've always loved writing. I've always loved reading. But I thought it would be something I do once I'm old and retired, and I'll just write books. And then COVID happened. I read all the books in my house, and I was just like, what am I going to read now? And I was like, I can just write the books I've always wanted to write. So that's how the writing came about. But I absolutely enjoyed it. I'm so grateful that the book was a huge success.
Amazing.
I'm still working on many others. And then I have a hair salon.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so I really, really love that space. I love the space of beauty. I think the beauty industry is really not what it used to be. It used to be such a looked down upon industry, but interacting with the people that I have, even that team that I have, I'm gobsmacked at how people can disrespect such an amazing industry. Like, we make women feel amazing when they walk out of there.
I love that.
It's something that I created from an experience that I wanted to have. I'm a working class person. I don't want to sit in a long line and wait and be in a salon that's full and noisy. I need to walk in a salon with my laptop and be able to work. So I created that space.
That's amazing.
Just to make sure that people like me actually have a place like that to go to.
Wow, that's incredible. That's really real. I don't know how you find the time to manage everything, but you are doing it. I think maybe just before we leave, if you can just share a word of encouragement to a woman that's out there that's sort of navigating her next or trying to emerge from one level to the next, just a word of encouragement to her.
So my bishop in church always preaches about this, that you have to understand the concepts of building. I think once you understand that whatever you are doing, you are building. We are in a generation now where so many people want the fast things. You want it now. You wanted... why aren't you famous? Why is this one driving this car? And then you forget that building is a concept. And yes, sometimes you end up seeing the glitz and the glam of somebody, but you don't understand the building blocks that they've had to go through. So I was telling one of the ladies as well at the salon that understand that when you are building, something that is built, you build from a foundation upwards, so that when things crumble at the top, your foundation is still intact. And that's what I think a lot of the younger people are missing, just that concept of understanding what it takes to build. And then once everything is done and people see this polished product, like, you'll never believe that the first responsibility I had on set was to staple call sheets. And I still messed that up. I messed up call sheets. And that was really, and I remember thinking, oh my goodness, this production manager is not calling me again, because who messes up call sheets? Like, it's the simplest thing. And it was to staple them together. I was 3-page call sheets that I had to staple together, and I still messed that up. So it's understanding that after that, I remember telling myself, I will never ever mess up anything that is that simple. I will always be prepared for every single, I will always show up prepared, and I'll ask questions if there's anything I don't know.
Brilliant.
And that's part of building. And now I'm very thorough in the things that I do, because maybe because of that experience and many other experiences. So it's so important to understand that every single moment is a teaching moment for you. You can walk in there and maybe somebody comes, and people will come and they will praise you and whatever. Just realize that there's so much to learn. You never stop learning. And when you get to the top, don't forget the things that you've learned, and don't beat yourself up on the mistakes as well. Every single thing is a learning curve.
That is brilliant. Okay, I have another question before. I said it's the last one, but I have another one. My question is, I think it just to sort of jump on what you were saying about like it's a foundation, about building, about starting somewhere, process. You know, there's a lot of producers out there that are also like sometimes get discouraged because they feel like they need to get this big show, like, you know, once they just submit their first concept and then like it needs to happen for them. What would you say to them in that, just with them in terms of like being patient and waiting it out and not giving up, because obviously it's a process.
So we often do get people that, you know, that will pitch for this big show that's this 30 million rand production, but you've never even handled a 2 million rand production. So any broadcaster, any normal broadcaster, you know, that's a high risk.
Yeah.
So for me, I always say, be on somebody's set, and then it beefs up your CV. You can say, I worked on this big production. I may not have been the owner of the production, but these are the things that I've done. These are the things that I've learned. And it's not to say it will never happen. There've been companies that pitch the first time, they get a big show, and that's amazing. But you must just understand that broadcaster also needs to manage their own risks.
Absolutely.
So it's important to come with as much knowledge as you can. Do this, pitch for the smaller things, because the smaller things are what help build your credibility. We know that you can deliver a 3 million rand show, so why wouldn't you deliver a 5 million rand show, as opposed to just gunning for the big thing? So it's building trust and credibility is the most important thing. Mistakes happen. We'll be there. We've got people that can help. But as long as we know that this is a person we can trust, this is a person who can deliver. And it also helps you manage yourself as well. You know that you don't have the pressure of delivering this massive production. You start small, and then it grows, and then you just keep pitching for more and more.
Okay, that's awesome. That's great advice. Okay, last thing before we go, your best show you've ever worked on. Doesn't matter if it was 2016, 29, 2009.
Oh my goodness.
Your best show. Doesn't matter what role you played in it.
I think I would have to say Idols, SA Idols, because of so many reasons. One, it was a production that was full of so many people. I've never met such amazing, talented people. Like, the production crew was amazing. Wow. It was also watching somebody who stood in a line. Most people would even spend the night from the night before that they can be number one in line to audition, and watching that dream come true. And now you see them. Like, I see Yanga, I see Kayam Tetwa, I see, so many people that have come from there. So for me, it was such a meaningful production because it changed people's lives. And it changed my life as well, because before I became a commissioning editor on Idols, I remember I was working with a guy who's a producer now, Teddy. So he was doing Idols before. And then he said, when he knew that he was going to transition into running his own company, he said, I'm going to train you. I want you to be with me for a year. And then I followed him literally for a year. So we went to every single production, went to rehearsals, we did everything. He was like, I want you to observe everything because I'm going to leave this production to you. And I thought it was the biggest thing, because I'm like, I can't start with such a big production. But for me, because immediately then when I did my first year, it was the year that Paxton won. It was amazing. I found everything so easy. And because somebody had also really taken my hand. And I hope I can also be that person for many other people. I would love to take people so that one day I can say, this person, I know exactly what they're capable of doing.
It's so brilliant. I love that story. Love. But thank you so much, Mbali. It was really great to have you on the show and just to hear your thoughts, your experience, your wisdom, your insight, and your heart above everything else. So thank you for sharing that, and all the best with the rest of your incredible career. I know whatever you're going to be doing is going to be amazing. And thank you for sharing just with the viewers, because I know that gotten great value out of just this conversation today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. And I need to pop in at your hair salon sometime.
You must come.
This conversation really just reminded me that growth isn't accidental. It's built in the decisions that you make, the risks that you take, and the version of yourself you choose to become at every level. Because your next level isn't given, it's built. This is the Emerge era.